Welcome back to another episode of Speakeasy. In this episode, we are blessed to have with us Father Noel Richards. I said blessed, who is here to chat to us today about coming out as gay while being an ordained priest in the Anglican Church.
Welcome, Noel.
Well, thank you. I feel blessed to have been welcomed.
Well, you have been an ordained priest for over 40 years, and you came out as gay in your 60s. What led you to become a priest?
I guess the short answer to that I'd give would be God. When I was 7, I just knew that was what I was meant to be. It doesn't mean I was a good 7-year-old, but I just knew that that's what I was meant to be. And going through school, changed my mind a couple of times, but still just kept coming back to that.
So Noel, can you tell us how you discovered you were gay?
Well, I really discovered it when I was 63, which is showing how quick I am at realising things. And I discovered it because I'd come back to Bendigo because I was ill. I had caught up with a lot of friends, and amongst them was Drew Reed. Over the time, once I could get rid of my crutches and started to walk a bit more properly, I realised that I enjoyed being with Drew and his company enormously. I was seeing a psychiatrist at the time to deal with lots of things really, but nothing to do with sexuality. And I'd been seeing John Bomford, that was his name, for a couple of years. Sitting in his office one day, I turned white, apparently, and he said, "What is wrong?" And I said, "Oh, God, you're not going to believe this. I'm gay." And he didn't really believe it till he asked a lot more questions, and it just sort of like that came out of the blue, just this realisation that that's who I am.
Yeah, wow.
And I really had no idea about it. I think I'd misunderstood things early in my life, like as a teenager I enjoyed going to the men's underwear department of Myers more than the women's, where the other guys were there hanging around the women's.
Yeah.
So as we talked, and also with John's wife, just the reality just became absolutely definite within 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I'd sort of gone diddly-dum to dum to dum all through my life without realising it at all.
So was it around a desire that you, because it sounds like that you felt this attraction towards different masculine things through your life, but then there was this desire that became so much that you realised that, okay, now it's actually a sexual desire, maybe that means I'm gay? Is that something?
Oh, no, what's it? I guess the sexual desire wasn't there at all. It was just like a flash of lightning and a realisation, yes, this is who I am. Then later on, I realised that I was in love with Drew. Then the whole thing about being a sexual person, then that came along.
I actually really love that. So what you identified as being gay was your love for this other man, as opposed to anything sexual at all. It was all about love.
Yeah, and it was, and that's how I see people who are gay or trans or whatever. It is about love, and it's about becoming the person, this is how I see it, becoming the person God created. And for me, as a gay man, as that process of becoming more and more who I was. I was Noel right back at the beginning, but through my life, I've become more and more Noel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I like
curious
that.
to think.
More Noel.
Yeah, absolutely. As somebody who was gay coming out in your 60s, did you feel like it was social pressures that made you feel like you were something different that had to be worked on?
No, really. I think I was the person who got the surprise and the shock. I don't think anyone I told, except for one sister, was surprised, shocked, anything. They just said, "Oh well, you know," and my nieces and nephews and great nephews and nieces, they just said, "Oh well, you're Uncle Noel. No difference whatsoever."
Beautiful.
I was the one who was surprised.
Yeah.
I was the one that was all. They didn't, and I don't think I know anyone who knew me who was shocked or surprised.
Kind of put that sexual aspect aside, if that also stopped you from thinking about sexuality.
Well, I suppose it's really strange, but I don't think I really thought that much about sexuality. I had sort of girlfriends when I was growing up, but for them it must have been about as exciting as going out with a dead eel or something. Nothing more exciting than that. And I just thought, right, I didn't even think of males. I just thought, I'm one of those people who's just going to go live their life on their own. And I didn't see that as a bad thing. I just thought, well, that's just how it is. I probably wouldn't have coped if I'd known earlier. I would have got the sack from the church straight away. And, I don't know what would have happened then.
We reveal these things about ourselves often just at the time that is right for us.
Yeah.
And as you say, that, perhaps if you had realised earlier and came out earlier, then you might not be in the position that you're in now.
Yeah, it's really funny. In one parish, one of the, stalwarts of the church went and reported me to the bishop for having, men visiting. Well, God, I mean, I was gobsmacked. I thought, why would they say I've had men visiting? And when I turned 63, I realised that I could have had men visiting. Damn. Being celibate was really great. I really didn't find that terribly hard, and because it's not only not having sex, it's the positive side of that is being open to everyone else, or trying to be open to everyone else, and this sounds really peculiar, I guess, but I really do love people, and I really do enjoy people, and so being celibate, it gave me that ability and the freedom to just love people in general.
So it's kind of like putting sex aside and then just having emotional connections with everybody.
Yeah, and sort of so I like to think my heart grew, and there's room for more and more people in it.
So you and your now husband Drew were the first same-sex couple to be married in a church in Bendigo. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, that was a rather long drawn-out process over a year, because I had to see my bishop, and he was very good, but like all bishops, they do a juggling thing of trying to keep everything going all right for everybody. And anyway, in the end, yes, we could get married, but we couldn't get married in the Anglican Church, because the Anglican Church hasn't even now accepted gay marriage, even though most of Australia has.
How is that possible when it's been legalised?
Oh, well, the church is in this really peculiar position that they say church and state should be separate. So things that the government does, the church has to obey the law, but it doesn't have to follow all the laws. So there is a loophole, and the church has a clause that which the government gave it, that you can't be forced to marry anyone. And so for years the church wouldn't marry divorced people. Remarry them. It was exactly the same as the Roman Catholic Church.
You get one chance, that's it.
Yeah, and if you blow it, well, So we could get married, but not in Anglican Church. Now, the people at St Andrew's Uniting Church here in Bendigo are fantastic, and so is their minister, and they were just great. They were so welcoming, so accepting. Di, their minister, is the most amazing woman, and they just welcomed us. And the choir from St Paul's sang, the organist from St Paul's played half the music, the organist from St Andrew's played the other half. There was 260 guests at the wedding. Heaps of them were from St Paul's. There was other priests there. And yeah, it was fabulous. And a wonderful illustration is one person who, she'll kill me, but she's a sweet little old lady in her 90s who, when the yes vote was going on, said, well, I'm terribly sorry, Noel, but I can't vote yes. I really can't. And I said, well, that's okay. Everyone's got to follow their own conscience, and that's the most important thing to do. And anyway, after the wedding, she said, now, don't tell anyone, but if the vote was now, I'd vote yes. Which was just
so she
so
finally saw what love really was.
Yeah, and that it was about love.
Yeah.
And not a warped thing or a sick thing, but just reality.
Yeah. So you were the first marriage in Bendigo, first gay marriage in Bendigo. What did that mean to the community?
I think it meant a lot, especially I hope it meant a lot. One of the reasons why we had such a large wedding, the first one was because we wanted to ask as many people as we could who we love and who have helped us in our lives. And the second reason was we wanted people to know, especially those who do have a faith, that yes, your faith and who you are go together. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be upset about. When I was working and before I knew I was gay, I saw a lot of people, I guess for counselling you'd want to call it, but they'd say, I've prayed so hard as a teenager, oh God, please don't let me be gay. Please stop me from being gay. And males or females. And it's just so tragic that they go through this horrific thing of this picture of this, neurotic ogre type God who's had them created through their parents for a life of suffering and physical and emotional and mental and spiritual torment. So for us getting married like that, we hope it would help people see that love is really what matters, and that for me and I guess a lot of Christians, God is love. So if you can't have God without love, and you can't have love without God, if you love someone, this is how I see it, it's not only your choice, it's a gift from God, and the more you love them, it's like the love flows from God through you to them and back to you. It just keeps getting, you get it over and over again. And then it flows out to other people as well. I mean, you two are a perfect example. I mean, you are. You're in the nicest way, both of you can be really daggy. Yeah. But your love for people, like in doing this program, is terrific because it's not manufactured. It flows from within you. You want to help other people, and another word you could use instead of helping is you want to love these people in their lives where they are.
So can you tell us about your husband Drew and how you met?
Drew and I were choristers or choir boys at the cathedral at St Paul's, and I was head chorister because I had the better voice. And no, I was head chorister, and he joined as a probationer chorister. He's younger than most of the others. And the first time, and I can remember it so vividly, the first time I saw him, I just knew I felt something towards this other kid. You know, I was a kid myself, but that I had never felt before in my life. But I didn't know what it was, but there was just this wonderful thing. Then we grew up. My voice broke first, and so then I joined, the men in the choir. His voice broke later. I went off to study, all those sort of things. Got ordained, worked in Gippsland. He did lots of things in Bendigo and Melbourne. Did work. He did his work. Then, so there was this big gap. I hadn't seen him for well over 30 years.
Wow.
But I still recognised him, and there was just this great friendship. But over the time of about a year, I realised this feeling that I had, and I could still see it, was there. And then I finally realised it was love. Taking my courage in my hands and, packing death at the time, I said, Drew, I think I'm in love with you. And he said, I've been waiting a year for you to say that. so that's how it happened. Finally, nearly 50 years after I had this love, I found it had been there all along.
Wow.
And that's what it was.
And I love that you recognise something different about that, because as you said earlier, that you love people and that you've had this love for all people, but yet there's something different about Drew.
Yeah.
And you recognise that, and it grew into this beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, after you declared your love for Drew, who proposed?
Well, Drew did. And that was the most amazing thing, because he had always said he could see no purpose in being married, no point in marriage, that it was never for him. But after the yes vote, something changed. But he was saying he now felt equal with everyone else. He now felt on the same footing as everyone else. And he never realised that he didn't feel that before. But once that happened, he was the same as everyone else. So we were down at Flinders and were having dinner one night. This was a few months after the yes vote. And he said, Noel Richards, will you marry me? And I said, Andrew John Reed, yes, I will. And then we went on talking about whatever we were talking about. And then when we got back after dinner, we both realised, sort of, oh, hell, we're going to get married. It was just...
So people of faith or people who grew up in the church and they're thinking about coming out, what would you say to them?
Well, I think the main thing I'd say would be, you'll be able to do it. You really will. The hardest part, I think, is first accepting that God, in God's love, has made you this way. This is how you've been made, how God wants you. So you will be able to come out because God will help you do it. You won't have to do it on your own. And you won't even have to hang on to God to do it. Let him hang on to you and say, I'm gay or I'm trans, to whoever you're going to tell. And do it gently. Oh, can I tell how I came out? It's so funny. It is so funny.
I would love to hear that story.
It is such a hoot.
Yes, please.
Drew went on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And if you go on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you have to take a friend along with you. And this friend makes up the audience, of course. If the person wins a reasonable amount of money, they'd like to show their friend. And Drew had to explain, along with all the others who were contestants, what relationship do you have with your friend? And so Drew said, oh, Noel's my partner. So I'm sitting up there and Drew's getting question after question right. And then one question, the one that really mattered, he's there and he's dithering, and I thought, come on, it's easy, it's Sacré-Cœur, and I'm thinking, and finally he says, Sacré-Cœur, Montmartre, and Eddie Maguire says, yes, and I, forgetting where I am, go off my head, cheering and waving my arms and yelling out, yahoo, because, you've got $10,000. And so I go, and Eddie said something like, and there's Drew's partner, Noel, up there. And we hadn't told anyone. So national TV is the best way of doing it.
Gets them all at one go.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. It was really good. So I reckon for ones who are coming out, who have faith, faith is really just another word for God. Another word for God is love. Let God hang on to you. If you can, thank God for who you are. Because you're great. You're really great. God doesn't create shit. He just doesn't. He creates loving people who are to be loved. And you're really worthwhile. Don't let go of that.
So thank you for watching Speakeasy. Tune in next week for more community content and our fabulous faces.
Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for extended episodes and like our Facebook page to show your love for Speakeasy and the LGBTI community. Thank you.